Okay, so this is obviously, these are all going to be healer DPS versus healer DPS, so this one's just on mages for now. Um, Basically, the talents you should be taking are Leg Sweep, semi-debatable for charging Oxwave, although I don't like it. It is nice to catch a mage's blink, like if he blinks Fist of Fury, you can catch wherever you blink to a charging Oxwave and use it as a gap closer, which is relatively nice, and then you can use Paralysis for another one, and you sort of get another gap closer out of it. It's debatable, I still like Leg Sweep way better. Diffuse Magic is sort of really tricky. If you get deeped, or it's a good mage and they blanket CSU and don't like need it for the healer or something like that, and you're like dying in that deep, Diffuse Magic did you absolutely no good in that deeper blanket stance. Healing Elixirs would have procced and healed you. So if you are dying like that, it may be a good idea to take it. It's actually not like a bad thing if you're dying like that, because to use Cloak effectively versus a mage, you basically have to pre-cloak. Meaning, there's some tells, like if you know he's going to have Frozen Orb up, you watch for the Pet Nova, wait for the Pet Nova to force the Fingers of Frost because he wants to deep you in it, and then you pre-cloak the Deep Freeze while any orbs, and it saves you a trinket. You can also just trinket and cloak to get out of it, but if they're playing correctly, it'll go Deep Freeze straight into a Blanket Silence on the thing, and you may just die. So that one's equally trade-offable. I like Cloak more. You can also use it to be offensive, just to cloak out of roots and go crazy. But it is definitely a playstyle choice. And then Rushing Jade Wind, you should 100% have against a mage because you cannot maintain the uptime, and you can just preemptively use the global and have Rushing Jade Wind up for damage. Like I could have done there if I wasn't healing myself. Okay, so the next thing to look at is how much stuff you actually have to get through to be able to get a kill. All of Monk and 2s is going to come down to get 10 stacks, do stuff. For the most part. Really hard to get away from that as a monk. Basically, in terms of shortest to longest, blink, you have to get out if you want to stun and go for it. You actually can't kill a mage without it. If you're playing with Leg Sweep, a lot of it will come down to either forcing a blink with Fist of Fury and then catching them in half stun, or trying to get them where they play greedy and will blink first, like a Palm Poly or something, or blink your root. As I said, the next two are block, alter, and bop. Alter is very rarely used defensively, however, it can be used defensively. The other thing to maintain or to watch out for on alter time is if you karma into it and they take it off or whatever, you lose your karma. So you have to watch out for that. Same thing for blocks and same thing for bop. You're actually just not allowed to karma versus this. Obviously, substitute bop for any other healer's random stuff. Whether it's Spirit Link, Ascendance, NS, Spirit Walker's Grace, Guardian, Lightwell, Life Swap, whatever you want to think about, Tree Form, it varies. But you kind of have to get those things through. As you can see here, it is entirely possible against a mage to completely global him. That was like 168k Rising Sun Kick, and I'm on my Horde Monk. So that could be higher. I would guess if that was my Alliance Monk and I had double procs, I'd be at 180. I did check armory, and this guy's not using the double resale trinkets. It's the only reason I hit that hard. But either way, it is still a lot of cooldowns you have to get out. Couple things about each of them. You don't necessarily have to get blink. It's nice to be able to stun the mage full and completely annihilate him, but generally every time you do, he gets bopped or blocks very early into it. So it's almost easier to catch him off guard without that. Next one is Temporal Shield. Luckily for you, most mages use this ability terribly. If you go back to the start of this, you'll see he Temporal Shields a Perilous. I was doing no damage in it, and I just waited off. The good news for you is you are a monk. You can just Tiger Palm to get up the armor pen, and Rushing Jade Wind for the free global, throw out G-Wave, and his Temporal Shield will fall on, and it'll heal up for, I don't know, maybe 40k at most if you're lucky. But it won't be any of the real damage. So you can just use those 3 globals to reset. Not necessarily will you have all 3 of those globals. You can use it to just jab and get chi up for when it falls. But it is something to still be aware of. Obviously, as you can tell from here, bops and blocks are kind of, you get them out just by doing damage. You use your stacks, you start trading cooldowns. Always try to stay in control of the match. Other thing to realize is you don't really need any CC whatsoever to actually kill a mage. I'm pretty sure you'll see it here pretty soon. If you get all these cooldowns out, even if you don't get them all out, you just catch him off guard, it's really easy to kill a mage. Same thing can be said about him killing you, though. If he catches you off guard, like if I can't pre-cloak it or have a trinket for it or something, he can just kill me too. So all it takes from there is get the setup, put up Tiger Palm, have G-Wave out, Rushing Jade Wind, jab a bunch of times, set up for real damage on the mage. He popped his Temporal Shield already, so when there's no damage coming out, he just randomly Temporal Shields, which means you can beat the crap out of him for a fair bit. He also just blinked randomly, so you can just put him into a full stun, and now's actually where you can do real damage. It's not as hard as it looks. People want to use those cooldowns because they are very strong for what they do, and they kind of throw them out way too quickly. The issue is if they want to play for timeout, it gets a lot harder, but the whole trick, at least with the previous buff, was you didn't actually play for timeout, you just played to stay higher HP so that they had to stay aggressive. If they wanted to sit back and turtle, you probably wouldn't get lower HP regardless of what happens. You don't have to worry about that now. It's a Healy thingy, which actually I think monks are fairly good at. You can shut down so much damage that I feel like if your only goal is just max PvE damage and stopping it, you'll do fine. Obviously there I get Temporal Shield again. He's going to heal up through it, do things, use my Blanket's odds. There's a sack. I forgot to put 2 sacks up here. You want to get 2 sacks off as well. But you get all the cooldowns out, and eventually you should be able to get a kill. I know this clip ends soon. He should be dying. I don't know what happens. I know I literally randomly kill him. I'm guessing it's here. As you can see, I did absolutely nothing to this paladin except paralyze him for the last touch of death. You can just kill him. People play way too aggressive and don't use their cooldowns properly for the most part. Very few people use it very correctly against a monk. So you have that on your side. Anyway, that's how you deal with mages.